Hi, I'm Dr. Dyson. I'm principal of Centennial High School, and I'm here to talk about my unique path to education. As a kid, as growing up, I was a decent student, mid 3 points, GPA, but my focus obviously was athletics, and I wanted to play professional sports. But my means to get there, I had to have a B average according to my mother, and I made sure I maintained that B average. And when I got to college, I did decent enough, but nothing too stellar. Again, my focus was kind of misguided, and it worked out for me. And I ended up playing professional football for 6 years, was at it for 8 years. But once that ended, I was 30 years old, and so I had to figure some things out. But I figured education was the best way for me to kind of figure some things out as I transitioned, moving into secondary education. I started coaching and going back to school. I got my first master's degree from Trevecca University just from sheer wanting to learn more about education, and I thinking I was going to be an athletic director and coach. And once I did that, I was in a private school, so I moved to public schools. I had to go back to school, and I got another master's degree from Trevecca in education. So I was sitting there with 2 master's degrees in coaching football. But once I moved to administration, another opportunity was presented to itself to me to extend my education one last time. And for me, growing up, I never thought myself to be very smart. I still consider myself a slow reader. I still have some things I'm deficient in. And I felt like if I can accomplish this, I can accomplish anything. So I went back and I got my doctorate degree. And to me, that's one of my greatest, if not my greatest, personal accomplishments. You know, I was a first-round NFL draft pick, and that's of 3% of the world. And having my doctorate is also 3% of the world. And to me, that's a greater accomplishment because sports was something that came easy to me. Academics didn't. Going to school didn't, but I applied some of those same things that made me successful in sports into my academics, and I was able to achieve the highest degree possible, which is getting my doctorate.
Okay, so I'm here with
Miss Woods.
And describe your college journey to us.
So my path was definitely the more traditional path. I went all the way through. So after I graduated high school, I went away to school and I did 4 years of college, and I majored in psychology. And then right after I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I went straight to graduate school. So I did 2 years and got my master's degree in school counseling. And then right after that, I got my job here at Centennial. I would say the reason I could do that is because I always knew what I wanted to do. I always knew I wanted to be a school counselor from the time I was probably like 14 or 15. So I knew that I needed to get my master's degree. So psychology was kind of a stepping stone. So if you know what you want to do, I would recommend doing that. It was by the time I was 23, I had my master's degree. And by the time I was 24, I was already, doing my dream job. So that was my journey.
Okay, so I'm here with
Jessica Stewart.
And can you describe your college journey to us, please?
So I was a first generation college student. So what that meant for me is that I didn't really have like the path mapped out for me. I was the first one in my family to go to college. And so I had to figure a lot of things out on my own. And so I actually utilized my school counselor to do a lot of those things. She helped me sit down and fill out my application. And so I didn't even realize that because of my ACT score, I had a 2-year scholarship to the community college in our area. So I was able to go to my first 2 years at that community college and then transfer and finish my 4-year degree. And I'm actually just now in my last year of my PhD program.
And do you have any advice for any upcoming college freshmen?
Yeah, so I think especially for first generation students, we don't know what we don't know. And so utilizing the resources that are at colleges and universities is really important. There are a lot of barriers that just come up for first gens because we just don't know what the pathway looks like. We don't know what our options are. We don't know what paperwork to fill out and all of those things. And so, but there's always departments at colleges and universities that are specifically there to support students like that. So if I could give any advice, it would be to engage in those resources more and not to be afraid to ask questions and not be afraid to really utilize all of the things that are in place for you, because that's what they're there for and that's what their job is. And so, don't be afraid to ask questions and engage in resources.
Thank you.
What's going on? I'm Coach Sufront. I coach for the football team, coach the receivers and whatnot. And my path to getting to Centennial wasn't as straight. Out of high school, go to college, start to get into the school system. It was not that easy, wasn't that quick. I played football through high school. had a couple of college offers to go play on. Broke my leg my senior year, so that derailed my whole playing career. From there, I went to college. After graduating, I did about a year and a half, lived in Knoxville, went to college in Knoxville. Realized maybe college at the time was not the best thing or best fit for me, so I got out of that and I joined the Army. I joined the Army for about 3 years, active duty time, and traveled many places, met many people, heard many great stories, did a lot of good things with the Army, had a great time doing that. I got out, started building in-ground pools, but the fire in me to coach and be on the sideline just never stopped and never went out. So I found ways to get back into the school system. I started off at Riverdale High School in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Now I'm here at Centennial and enjoying life.
Hola, I'm Paula Corbacho, family involvement and Spanish interpreter and translator here. I went to college in Argentina. I studied veterinary science. But it took me almost until the end to realize that was not what I wanted to do my whole life. Then it took me a bit longer to realize or figure out that translation and interpreting was what I wanted to do. Then life happened. I moved here, so I couldn't finish those studies. And that was 8 years ago. And now, as old as I may feel to go back to college, my plans to finish what I started. Sometimes I feel like I lost all those years before finding my calling. But the truth is that all those skills and knowledge that I got in that previous career, as different as they may seem, have been very useful in my current career in education and interpreting. So I guess career change is good. So good luck and adios.